This is going to take a minute.
Okay.
So I'm apparently going to have to change my usual introduction of myself, because normally I say, for those of you who don't know me, but I think there's only one person in here that doesn't know me. But anyway, I am Ginger Olszewski, and I'm a volunteer here at the Pat Conroy Literary Center. It's great to see you here tonight. And welcome to our nonprofit Pat Conroy Literary Center's evening with visiting novelist Elaine Neil Orr, author of Dancing Woman. We're grateful to our friends at Nevermore Books for co-sponsoring tonight's event, and to our friend Bren McClain for serving as Elaine's onstage interviewer. The author of 6 books, Elaine was born and grew up among the forests and rivers of southwestern Nigeria. Her explorations of home and exile and spiritual connection are rooted in those rich formative years. She first published a memoir, Gods of Noonday, A White Girl's African Life, followed by 2 novels, A Different Sun and Swimming Between Worlds, finalists for the 2019 Philip H. McMath Post-Publication Book Award in Fiction. Elaine has received numerous prizes and awards, including most recently the 2023 John L. Prize, North Carolina Literary Review, and the 2021 Denny C. Plattner Award in Creative Writing and Appellation Review. She lives in Raleigh, North Carolina with her husband Andy and their beloved pup, Sam. Of her 3rd novel, Dancing Woman, best-selling novelist Charles Frazier offered this endorsement: brimming with vivid description, deeply rooted in time and place, and with a fascinating cast of complicated, enigmatic characters, Dancing Woman is ultimately a story of longing for a sense of self, community, redemption, and healing, and a profound exploration of the transformative power of art in its many forms. Tonight, Elaine will be in conversation with Bren McClain, author of the novel One Good Mama Bone, winner of the 2017 Willie Morris Award for Southern Fiction and the 2018 Patricia Wynne Award for Southern Literature. After their conversation, both authors will be available to sign their books. Please join me in welcoming Elaine and Bren.
Thank you all for coming. You're in for a treat. Anybody besides me read the book? Well, I'm telling you, you're in for a treat. When I finished your book, Elaine, I had to sit in silence and just let the story and your characters wash over me. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just kind of sat there. And I wrote like a review. Let me just 2 sentences first. What a beautiful story of a woman who is lonely and lost, and her perilous emotional journey to herself. Yeah. This is literary fiction at its best. You know, literary fiction is character-based. You know, commercial fiction tends to be more story-based. But let me tell you right now, we got a story. It's not like just these amazing characters that you have. I mean, you've got a story. I was just in awe of all of the consequences you bring about because of actions.
Yeah, one choice or 2 choices.
I mean, you did. I mean, that's what was so fascinating to me. Of course, I read like a writer. I can't help that. And the consequences that you continue to bring about makes it a page turner. And I was just reveling at so much. But let's start off. What do you think the book is about? You know, Charles Frazier, that was a beautiful thing, and I've told you mine. Well, how would you describe what the book is?
I love what you wrote because I haven't quite been able to come up with the elevator pitch here.
I'll send it to you.
I thought a woman who was lonely in her marriage, she's actually in a pretty good marriage.
She is.
This is the early 60s. She's gone with her husband, who's an agricultural engineer with USAID, to Nigeria. And they've just gained their independence from the British.
Yeah.
And this is her husband's gone on this pretty noble project. He's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And marriage doesn't answer everything.
No.
And if you're a young woman
Mm-hmm.
and you're suddenly in what is to you a foreign country, and she's living in a town where there are no other white people,
Right.
right?
I know.
And her husband's off planting neem trees.
Yeah. Doing good work.
Doing good work.
Really good work.
But so the novel is her journey.
Yeah.
And some missteps. I don't know what you did in your 20s, but anyway, some missteps in her journey and profound consequences.
Profound consequences.
And her determination to push on, not in spite of the consequences. She doesn't, she doesn't abandon anything.
No, not at all. No.
She keeps working through her commitments and her and toward what she longs for.
Mm-hmm.
And what she longs for is to be an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved your sections. We'll talk about that in a minute, about how I used the word wash, let it wash over me, and I may have said that because of the word wash in the book. She talked, do we have any artists in here and painters? It's fascinating. It's a fascinating study because you talk about washing the background.
She's
right?
in watercolor.
Yeah.
And I majored in art and did mostly watercolor in college. And then I realized I couldn't make a living.
All
So I
right.
thought, well, let me just keep going to school until I can, I can do that. I'll stay in school for 8 more years. But it was so exciting when I finally got to a place that I could use my art.
Yeah.
But I used it in a novel. And so
Yes.
you always put color on the page to start with. And one kind of, it was just kind of a wonderful detail for me in this book, in which, as when I grew up, I thought there were 40 white people in the world, and the rest of the world they weren't black, they were just Nigerians. No one's black in Nigeria, you're just Nigerian.
Wow.
And because I didn't see the U.S. till I was 6.
6 years old.
Yeah, so all of I just thought this is the world. So that's what Isabel's world is kind of like.
Yeah.
And so a detail about watercolor is that if you want any white in it, you have to leave it blank to begin with. So if you make that, you have to foresee where you want the white and leave it.
Right. And then you fill in the details last.
Yeah, like the bird's little feet, or you can push back the brush. You can load it up and push it back and let it spray and kind of dust the ground with, whatever it might be, acorns or pine cones or whatever it might be in the grass, or in Nigeria it would be something else.
You know how I knew that Isabel was a good person?
No.
Hang on. In the opening, the little boy comes by and he's got a bird.
Yeah.
He's got
He's
a
trying to sell it.
bird for sale for 6 pence.
Right.
He says, "Please buy." The bird seemed all tuckered out, its feathers wilted, eyes dim. Isabel would not keep a bound bird, nor a bird in a cage. The boy looked as listless at the bird. Anyway, she says, "How much?" And he says, 6 pence. For the second time that morning, Isabel mounted the steps to the porch, moved into the house. She returned with the money. He set the basket at her feet, as it was now Isabel's. And then he reached for her hand to transfer the twine. He had twine around the bird's feet. And I thought, oh God, because I love animals, oh God. Transfer the twine and poor attached bird into her ownership. And then she says it's a beauty. And the boy smiled. And then Isabel says this, "Untie it, please." set it here. She placed a hand on the concrete pillar at the base of the porch, or it did. The bird teetered, it took a few halting steps, shook itself out, catching the sun in its feathers. It bobbed its head as if trying to remember something. I love that. And then it took wing across the road and into a tall hardwood. I knew then this was a woman. Isabel was a woman I wanted to follow. That right there just did it for me. To me, that just showed who she is. Because if she had taken that bird and kept it bound, you know, and I knew then, this is a woman I want to read about. This is a woman I want to follow. And I knew then that the, arc of the story was she was going to set herself free. Did you do that on purpose?
I don't think I did put that scene there on purpose.
Right.
It's not the first scene I wrote.
Of course, yeah.
You don't start, what ends up being the beginning is not what you wrote. In fact, what you wrote doesn't even exist anymore. But I wrote it thinking about her character and making an impression on the reader.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I kept adding birds. There's so many
a lot of birds.
in this book. Unfortunately, I had a research assistant in northern Nigeria.
What?
Yeah. Well, and I kept saying, I need another bird. And there's another bird that's, might be at a lake or at a river or up in the hills.
Sure.
Right. And so most of the birds are identified by name. That one's not because she doesn't know and he doesn't know. But anyway.
Yeah.
So the birds just kept coming, and finally at some point I realized, oh, this is all an extended metaphor for her. And at the end I also realized that I think all of my writing is scrambled autobiography.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next. What
But not
relation?
that scene, not the other scene.
No, oh, okay. We
But
won't go
anyway,
there. Okay, you didn't do that.
No.
Did you set a bird free?
I don't even think I did that, but I might have set myself free. I probably did
Wow.
that. But
Wow.
and not for my husband.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, in my writing.
Yes.
But now I have to walk myself back to where I started.
Mm-hmm.
Was there birds I was talking about? What was I talking about?
Autobiographical? You were talking
Yes,
about
and how
birds.
Oh, I kind of realized that this whole book about painting is really also about writing.
Mm-hmm.
It's about any artistic endeavor, whatever any of us dreams of and pursues.
Sure.
And art can be cooking.
Yeah.
Art is a garden. Art is getting people together. Art is this building, right? And the design of shelves. And art is wherever we're bringing our sort of most imaginative and least burdened, I think, self into some kind of expression.
Least burdened. I'm going to have to think about that.
Well, maybe
Art.
we're burdened when we start, but by the time we're through, we're not.
Wow.
I often write feeling burdened, or I'm often, but writing lifts me out of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. So I wanted to talk about the autobiographical aspects.
Okay.
I knew you were born there. You're not Isabel, right?
I'm not as no, I'm not as good an artist. And my parents were medical missionaries. They went with Southern Baptist Convention. They went in the early 50s before I was born, and that's why I was born there. So I have Nigerian names that were given to me by the staff at the Baptist Hospital.
What do you remember what they are? What's your name?
Oh, yeah.
What is your name?
Amidele Fumilayo.
Wow.
And one means she brings joy, and the other is born away from home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Say it again. Say the name.
The first one is Bamidele.
Okay.
That's a very common Nigerian name.
Oh.
And women and men can be named Bamidele. And then Fumilayo.
for born.
Born away from home.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it, so, I mean, so is that the only biographical aspect? The
Oh, no,
fact that
no,
it's-
no. Oh, no. I mean, Isabel spends a great deal of time outdoors.
Mhm.
She loves to garden. She's in love with the earth. She is in love with color. I was born as a fairly introspective person, and a bit of a, well, my sister's an extrovert, I'm much more of an introvert. And I express my introvertness by just being outdoors, in Nigeria, and just exploring, and I just had free reign of, like you did on your farm, I did on our compound, to just go wherever I wanted. I think my mother just had to decide, once we were out there, that she wasn't gonna worry about snakes, because you would have been worried every minute, and you would never let your child outside.
Really? That
Yeah,
prevalent?
well, and they're very poisonous.
Ooh.
So, you know, but I saw a few, but never had, you know, obviously, never had a bad encounter. We swam in this, perfectly clear cold spring-fed river. That's where I learned to swim. Very fast current, and so Nigeria to me was a kind of wonderland when I was young. But then, when I was a teenager, a civil war broke out, and there was, I don't know if anyone's as old as I am to remember the Biafran War or the Civil War in Nigeria. That's in the novel. We stayed, we were there during the war. But I would say her gaze, the way she looks at things, and that's a lot of me. And then
That's a lot,
that's a
like
lot
you.
of me. But
Okay.
but the thing that's always different, at least in the first 3 novels I've written, is I'm always taking someone to Nigeria, and I wasn't taken to Nigeria. I was brought from Nigeria to the U.S. So I don't know. I want to go back, and I can't go back really. So I create a character, and I take the character, and then I see what's going to happen. Because I really don't know what's going to happen. The only thing I knew when this novel began
what did you
was
know?
I knew about the sculpture.
You knew about the dancing woman.
Yes, only she wasn't a dancing woman. She was a wise man, because the novel. A sculpture plays a pivotal role in this novel, and I'll read that scene if we have time.
Why don't we do that?
Okay, let me do
Yeah.
that, but let me
Let's
explain
set
it
it up.
first.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I knew, and I just want to say one other thing. So my last novel is set mostly in Winston-Salem with backstory in Nigeria. And all I knew was that I was going to put the character in the house we lived in on my first furlough in Winston-Salem, and that way I could live in that house again.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I went and knocked on the guy's house, he wouldn't let me in, but I figured that was better, because someone had split it into apartments, and that was just really messed up my whole, mood about that house, so it was still intact in my brain.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't get,
Messed with.
some things, like a house, the first house I lived in this country, it was a 4-square, I don't know if you know what 4 square is, but, so I start with, that's how much I know, very little, and then I bring everything I have, and give everything I can to, once I get a character, and really have to get 2 characters.
Who'd you get next, Nick, her husband?
Yes, I think so, because I did the romance pretty quickly. Yeah. Doris Betts said, as soon as you have 2 characters, go.
Really? She
Yeah.
did that?
Well, she might have written it, but she's, okay.
All right, well.
Actually, Clyde Edgerton recently said that Doris Betts said that. So if she didn't, it's her fault. But he had done some reading a research about some lectures she gave at UNC recently,
Yeah.
And so on the novel I've just started, I had my one character, and I was like, Elaine, you can't go. You gotta
To bounce off of it, to create pressure.
to create conflict.
Yes.
And motion, yeah.
Yes,
Otherwise you're just in someone's mind.
that's right.
You're not really moving. So, yeah, so I can talk about the knocks. So the knocks they're about this high from these sculptures, from my elbow to the tips of my finger. And we have one in the North Carolina Museum of Art in Raleigh, and I knew the woman who got it to us. She was the curator of African art for many years before she went to Florida.
Okay.
And these were discovered in the 1940s during a tin mining operation by the British in northern Nigeria. And they are 2,000 years old.
Gosh.
And they look Egyptian. They're beautiful. And they have the most probing eyes. They're clearly the work of some genius artist, but the culture was completely lost. We don't know who they were.
Really?
Where they went. No, the people who are there now are not descendants of the people who created. I mean, I'm sure they were, they were a clan of black people, but they're not the people who are there now.
Wow.
Yeah, Egyptians did not come down. There was no Sahara
Yes.
route yet that long ago, 2,000 years ago. So, anyway.
So you had that sculpture.
So I had that sculpture in my mind, but then when I created Isabel, and at first I was going to use that sculpture. I wanted that sculpture to be a means by which my character learns who she is.
Yeah, that's right.
And then after a while I thought, Elaine, can't be a male sculpture. Are you kidding? No, it has to be a female. And so of course I had to do my research, just hoping and praying. And what is that song? Hoping and praying that there would be women. And there were.
And there were
female sculptures, not as many as the men, and no one knows what they were created for.
Wow.
What their purpose served. There are thousands of them.
Thousands of them?
Yes. So they were, and they are just, well, the one, when I saw it was incredible to me. So let me just,
And so you knew you wanted to build a story around it.
I knew that I wanted it to be a major, it's not a motif, that would be like the birds. The birds are a motif.
Yes.
It's a kind of magical object.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit of
Yes.
mystery and sort of spiritual movement.
Energy
that occurs around this sculpture. And if you read my memoir, Gods of New Day, A White Girl's African Life, I, a Southern Baptist daughter, talk about how I think I imbibed Yoruba, which is where we lived, spirituality, because the Yoruba believe there are divinities in the trees and in the streams and in the crossroads. And I believe that.
I do too.
I don't go to church to pray. I'm like Emily Dickinson. I'm praying out in my garden. I've been to church a lot. I went so much as a girl.
You got all those boxes checked.
I banged a church, right? So I can take it with me. But anyway, so it's not magical, like sort of, I don't know what I would say.
It's a force.
It's a force.
It's a force.
Right.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. So
Spiritual force.
it's a spiritual force, and so Isabel does something, and you'll find it on page 30, I think, or so. She does something early in the novel that she immediately regrets, and she goes home and she's just panicked by what she's done, and she thinks her husband's going to be home in 3 days. He's out planting his neem trees, but he gets home early, and she's not prepared.
Right.
And so the next day he goes off to his office, and she goes out to her yard, and begins to dig. And I give her a backstory in Virginia, in Richmond, Virginia. Anybody know Richmond at all, the Oregon Hills neighborhood? So that's a working class neighborhood that she grew up in. Her father was Italian. He and her mother worked in a pharmacy. So she grew up with being a little bit of an outsider, a little bit not as privileged as some of the other girls around her. But she had grandparents who had a farm, and her mother's side. And so she knows how to garden, she knows how to farm, she knows how to dig. So this is not out of character.
No.
She's bought a lemon tree and she wants to plant the lemon tree. She thinks, and you may know this, the lemon tree is good astringent. You can wash windows with it, and maybe you can wash your soul. Kind of cleanse yourself. So she's out there digging. And this actually, I thought that my editor was so smart to put this little excerpt in the jacket flap.
I cover at home.
Anyway, so I'll read this. Back in the yard, Isabel knotted her skirt between her legs and labored in a rhythm, lifting soil, bending to scoop by hand, standing to breathe. The task became more difficult, a hard job of work, as her grandfather would say. She set the shovel aside and reached for the sharper spade. A goat with a red cord around its neck moved into the yard and back out. She continued to dig. Finally, she thought she might be deep enough. The hole she had created, 2 feet deep, maybe 3 feet across. The root ball of the lemon tree was smaller than that. She would loosen the roots that would begin to tunnel in the rainy season, twining around buried stones. Her hands were deep orange. Something glittered. Isabel leaned into the hole and placed her finger on the protrusion, some bit of reddish glaze. With her fingertips, she brushed away soil and then sat back on her haunches. A single cloud moved over her. She continued to dig until she uncovered the pebbly edge of something, terracotta, or it might merely be lava rock, a common occurrence here. In that case, she would have to find another place to dig. She should have trained to be an archaeologist or a serious artist. But after 2 years in art education, she left college to marry Nick. Women had so few choices in the 1960s. The ultimate success was to marry a good-looking man who was going places. She wanted to marry Nick. She was desperate to go somewhere, anywhere. She got back to work, though it was even hotter now, and not a cloud in the sky. The pebbly edge had a uniform curve to it, and spoke of intentionality. Lava rock would not. It must be 90 degrees, but the work felt cleansing. Isabel's purpose was no longer to surprise her husband. Her purpose now was merely to dig. Suddenly, a bit of dirt fell into a depression. She leaned over. What seemed a black marble was a small and perfect hole in the curved surface of what must certainly be a long-lost vessel. Light seemed to move through her body. She could make out a definitive arch above the hole. Isabel seemed to ascend to a place of knowing. Somewhere close by, a girl pounded yam. A mother called out to her child. An engine sputtered and died. A man set out 3 tins of palm wine for sale. 2 boys kicked a ball. A schoolgirl wrote her name on the face of a notebook. Isabel moved to the opposite side of her excavation. Just as her art teacher had told her, the world turned upside down reveals what we have not yet seen. The object was some sort of sculpture. The strong arch was above, not below the hole. It was an eyebrow, and the hole was the iris of an eye.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
she finds this object, and
Yeah.
she has a young Nigerian man who works for her. She tries not to do that.
Right.
She tells her husband she doesn't want someone working for her in the house, and especially not a young man. And he says, well, but they want the work, and it's the custom, and we kind of have to do it. And so they hired Daniel, who's a very important character in the novel, and he tells her that she has to take this sculpture to the chief of the village, or the town of Kufana, which is a real town, and ask him if she can keep it to study. And he says she may, but she has to discern what it has to tell her. So the characters, the Nigerian characters, are very stern often with her about what she can or cannot do. She's not just moving around like some privileged white person. I mean, Nigerians never really thought that white people were that special. You know, I mean,
Okay.
and so Isabel's not special because she's white. If she learns Hausa, she'll get some respect, right? She has to do things just like anybody to earn respect. Her skin color doesn't make her respected.
Wow.
Which is one thing one reason I like to introduce this culture. It's really more than one.
Yes.
There are 300 languages in Nigeria, so lots of cultures, not one.
300.
Yeah. So I grew up in the South, which was rainforest and largely Christian and traditional religion. The North is largely Muslim, and I did not live up there, so that's why I really needed a research assistant.
Oh,
I was
okay.
lucky to find one.
So did you always have the title Dancing Woman?
No, I never have a title. I'm the world's worst.
Are you?
I am. I'm really, really bad, and I'm always going back to the novel or whatever thing. There's gotta be a phrase in here somewhere. I'll read the whole novel. And
Trying to find the title?
yeah, so
How'd you get it?
my agent.
Really? You know, and it's interesting because it's kind of obvious if you think about it this way.
Obvious.
I mean, Dancing Woman. And,
Well, I like the way you say it. I like that way,
Oh.
not dancing woman, but dancing woman. I'm
Oh.
putting the emphasis on the action. Dancing woman. And Isabel is a dancing woman
Absolutely.
as well. She dances in this early scene,
absolutely.
and she dances at other moments in the novel, sometimes alone. There's a lot of art in the book. There's drumming and music and dance and fabric and cooking and
Yes.
all kinds of, even making sexual potions.
That was a very interesting part of
My
the book.
research assistant told me about it. She says, you might want to put this in your novel.
Yeah.
And I thought, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I've never read anything about aphrodisiacs, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
You know, to kind of get you in the mood. I thought that was just fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, you wrote this in third person, but it's so close, it almost feels like first.
Yes.
Have people told you that?
I don't know that people have told me that, but I feel so close to the characters that I forget that it's third person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Me too. Yep, that's exactly what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say.
yeah.
We're so tight with Isabel. It's only one point of view in the novel, Isabel's. I mean, you just know her. You embody her. You did such a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Just, setting us down inside her soul. Because she does a lot of battles. She has
She
a lot
does,
of
yeah.
guilt, a lot of turmoil,
Right.
that she
faces
keeps.
a lot of things.
Yeah, she does. In her, in the foreground, I mean, she's got these things she's dealing with.
Right.
Well, I thought you did a great job. And the other thing, I wanted to read a couple of examples. She has such beautiful language. And oftentimes, she kicks out of a scene with really beautiful, like one sentence. Like, for example, later he slept while Isabel remained wakeful in the glow of her own darkness. See, that's, it does kind of bring an ode to you, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
Poetry.
yes, poetry. Her language packs a punch. I mean, because if you'd written that just regular, later he slept while Isabel, stayed awake. Right? Stay awake. But she said remained wakeful in the glow of her own darkness, which adds just so much more, doesn't it? And then another example on page 220, at the end she says, For all of her dreaming, she never could have dreamed these two, and these are her twins. And here's the sentence, how she kicks out. They had come like swallows out of their own distance. See, it's just not regular language that you would, it's just got a lift to it. And I was just in awe of, I could read all night examples of these. So are you a poet also?
I think I was supposed to be a poet.
Do you? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I think I have more of a gift for metaphor. I have, if I had a natural gift as a writer, I think it's for figurative language.
Yes.
And poetry and imagery. But it turned out I had stories I wanted to at least allow to surface if they would.
Sure.
And so it's been work. I'm not a natural plotter, right?
So you don't outline or anything?
Oh, no, I wouldn't.
Okay.
No. I just kind of walk in the dark.
They're
Or
called
right
pantser?
in the dark.
Pantser, is that what they're called? There's a plotter and a pantser? So I think
How
you're
do you spell that?
P-A-N-T-S-E-R. You fly by the seat of your pants.
Oh.
That's what it means, right? Does that know what it means, pantser?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
that's how I do.
Yeah.
How do you do it, Christina?
Yeah.
Same way? Yeah. Do we have any plotters in the room? Boo, yes, everybody,
No, I know
everybody
some
fancies.
really good writers who plot, but I want to discover something.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm doing the writing as a journey and to discover something I don't know. Or know somehow, some part of me knows it, but
Yeah.
I haven't yet articulated it, because I think everything comes out of you, right? But then things just happen. I mean, you'll write something, and you'll be right on the cusp of getting it, and you'll go, I don't know, you'll open the newspaper, you'll go out into a field or something, and you'll see the next thing. I mean,
Yes,
you'll just,
yes.
or just something will come to your mind, and it's exactly what you needed.
I know. Yeah.
And it feels as if the universe is backing you up, revealing to you what you're looking for, but it doesn't come if you're not doing the work. You have to spend 6 or 7 hours already at the computer that morning or that
Yes.
afternoon, working.
So the
and then you
universe
take a
knows
walk.
you're totally dialed in and
Right,
meets you.
totally dialed in.
And meets you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So
It
I mean,
gives you things.
How many drafts did you have to go through to get, 1 million to get this?
How many?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I probably printed out about 10.
10 different
But, you know,
drafts.
But printing is just, I rewrite every day. Whatever I've left, whatever I did the day before, I start back in that section.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you
Come
your
back through
process.
it.
So
Right.
what is your process? So you write, then you put it
Once I
up.
have, like right now I've got about 50 pages of what may be my next novel. It's not even enough, I don't,
Mm.
once I have 125 and they're more solid, then I will go back and whatever I wrote yesterday, I'll comb through it and I'll
Comb
already
through.
be revising it, and then I'll go further. And then I come back the next day and go back to the part that I did yesterday and keep going. So every day, it's kind of like waves coming in, but
Mm.
you want them to keep coming in. You never want it to go out, because you want to keep going a little bit further. Once I did rekey the entire manuscript. So
What?
Yeah, I heard this was a great way to revise. It was my first novel. I think it was really smart.
What
So I had about 450 pages, maybe 500.
Okay. So what'd you do?
So I went away to a residency in Western Massachusetts. It was in the spring, and I took the hard copy, and I rekeyed the whole, but at every moment I was revising. Because you're not gonna rekey what's there, because it's not good yet. Or it's
Oh,
only
wow.
mildly good, or some of it's good, and some of it's not good. Or you just go, this scene, and you can take it out because, I don't know, when it's printed out, it's less personal or something, I don't really know. Anyway.
You kind of disassociate
You're
a
just-
little bit, maybe?
You can do, yeah. And That was a really smart thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has anybody else ever heard of that?
I mean, and then on the other side, I will write by hand in my journal. So this new novel, I started it in my journal. I get these big black journals that are really art journals, and I do watercolors in them too, because I still do watercolor. Not very good, but I do it. And so I'll write in those, and I'll get going a little ways, and then I'll start keying that in. And then you're already in the second you're already in the second draft, because when you key it in, you change it.
Right.
It's better already.
So you start off writing by hand,
I
is that
do.
what you're saying?
And then anytime I get nervous or stuck, or I just know I'm gonna be picking up my granddaughter and I'm gonna be sitting there 45 minutes, I take a little notebook and I just write. I just write a scene, just write something, and then I bring that back and put it in my
And key it in.
manuscript. Yeah.
I read the other day about revision, you're talking about techniques, is this guy starts in the last chapter and then reads the book backwards. That's how he does revision. He goes backwards, and he says somehow that tricks his brain into seeing, because he doesn't know, remember what's before it, but he said that's how he can see his story, by reading backwards.
So he gets the whole thing down, and
Right,
then he
the whole
starts
thing
working
down.
from the back.
That's right. Starts reading the last chapter and then one before that. And he says because his brain sees it differently,
Yeah.
going that way.
That's amazing.
Isn't it
I
amazing?
heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What time is it? We're good on time. So we've got a lot of writers in here. Can you talk a little bit about your path to publication? That's always interesting.
The other two novels in the middle, right?
Yeah, or this one, whatever you want to talk about. Yeah.
I heard you.
Okay.
Would you talk about your last book? Or this, you mean this book?
Yeah, your path to publication. It could
My
be
path to
path. I'm sorry.
Right, no, yeah.
Path.
I was hearing past.
Oh, and your path.
Path to
Oh,
publication.
your path. Yeah. How did that happen for you?
With this, so my first novel took 10 years to get out, begin it, and have it on a shelf. It took 10 years.
Okay.
But that's how long it takes to learn the craft. So if you want to play the violin, start tomorrow, and in 10 years you can perform.
Okay, 10 years. Okay.
So for this book, I started writing it at the beginning of the pandemic, which meant that, I had a lot of time alone. My husband and I and our dog.
Sure.
And so there was a kind of intensity about it that may account in a way for the depth of passion and sort of emotional depth
Absolutely.
Complexity that Isabel faces. And in a lot of ways she's alone, and so there's some element of isolation, although she begins to build her world, mostly of Nigerians and one Dutch friend, a woman who's out there. So began then, but was going in a different direction. And I kept getting to page 80 of that other direction, and I couldn't go further than that.
What did that tell you?
It told me I was on the wrong path. So I went to see my mentor in Louisville, who's been my mentor since I was 23, maybe. I actually did take a poetry workshop with her.
Sina?
Sina Naslund. And I told her something that was going to happen to Isabel. And she said, "Oh, I can't tell you all because it's a big plot point." And she said, "That's going to really, really affect her very, very powerfully. And you need to go spend a lot of time with that." And it redirected where I was going.
Wow.
Yeah. As long as you have a mentor, keep going to see them. And if they leave you, build a shrine
All right, you're serious.
What is this built? What is this room?
Right, absolutely.
You know, it's a shrine.
Yeah, it's a path.
Not just to Pat, but to all the other writers, you know, who've passed through here, but mostly to Pat. And so,
So that, you started in another direction.
I started, yeah.
And it was was it a consequence? You know, you don't want to say what it is, but was it a consequence of something earlier?
Yes, the
Yeah.
consequence was something
Right,
earlier.
right,
And
right.
where I was going with it, I
Okay.
redirected.
Wow.
Yeah, and it
Because
was
you
such-
really put the squeeze on her. You really did. You really put the squeeze on her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I love that.
I mean, I can't tell you how it ends. It's not a sad novel.
Oh, no.
No.
No, it's a triumphant.
Yeah.
It's a triumphant novel. It's
Right.
totally triumphant. Absolutely it is.
But, you know, we all live, being human is really hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, and that's what you did. That's it right there. You were deep inside her humanity, and we followed right along with her aches and pains and joys and regrets and all of that. You put us right in there with her.
Well, she's very passionate.
Mhm.
And artists are.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
writers are, and I think all of us are, and I think when a lot of negative things are coming out in the world, people aren't being an artist enough. I think we all need to stop and do some art. Okay, let's have art in the square and art, you know.
Yes. Yes,
Children need to be doing art. They need to be writing stories, you know.
absolutely.
My granddaughter would rather do that than the math she's being asked to do right now.
Do you rather write stories?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Or
awesome.
just kind of do anything she wants to
Awesome.
paint. Yeah, I think that passion goes awry, right? And writing is one way that we can make it not go. We can create a gift, something that people, that helps us to feel seen. I mean, when I came to the US at age 16 with a permanent ticket to come here, right, did not have a return ticket to Nigeria. So we would, when I was growing up, we would come to the US every 4th year. But then I knew I was going home to Nigeria. Well, when I got to be 16, there was no going back. I was sent here without my parents to finish high school. And now I can't remember where I was going with that.
So let me talk about.
No, I only
You think?
remember it.
Okay.
It's got to do with,
You were sent here. No going back.
yeah, hold on. And Isabel, it had something to do really with Isabel. Well, I don't think I'm gonna remember it right away. I will, but not right away.
Okay.
Too bad we can't rerun
The tape. You see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned having the one-way ticket and no plan to go
Yeah,
home,
no
so that was our
plan
jumping
return.
off point.
16.
Yeah.
Parents sent you
I
here.
think she's done
Right.
that before that,
Hmm,
where you were.
Do what?
Right before that. I think you were, I was following you, I promise, but I don't remember, you know, what I had for practice.
What were I saying? Oh dear, well,
What was the first time you had come to the United States with no return ticket?
it was.
Had to be kind of unsettling.
It was profoundly unsettling, and I wasn't prepared for it, and I said, no, this has got to do with Isabel, but I can't remember exactly how. But I wanted to tell you that it had to do, you know, with the part of me that I'm always carrying around, which is a bit of an orphan, or, you know, someone who's not quite at home. Even here, after I've been here, so for so much longer than I was there, right?
You still feel like
I said, oh, yeah,
You still do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Since I can't remember that, I'm gonna just skip to something different. My mother was born and grew up not far from here, in Fairfax.
Yeah, Fairfax, that's right above Hampton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and my father's father was a Baptist preacher, and they moved to Fairfax when my father was 13 and my mother was 8 or something like that. He says he immediately fell in love with her, but they didn't marry. That would have been like in the 30s. They didn't marry till the end of the 40s after the war. But it's just been so interesting to me in driving down here today. I was looking on this, I'm on the highway between Florence and here. Spent the night in Florence.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at both sides of the road, and the greenery is just coming up over the road almost. And I think, well, my mother would not have found the rainforest that unusual, because this is a rainforest. I mean, just that, all of that greenery and sort of that overwhelming
The Spanish moss and all
power,
that.
not the Spanish moss, but just, this was a little closer to Florence
Oh,
than right
okay.
down here.
Okay.
Yeah, but just, when she was traveling, when she went to Augusta, or when she came down to Charleston or wherever, that there's just something kind of, and also the sandy soil that's kind of
Oh.
similar between
Okay.
where she ended up in Nigeria and South Carolina. Yeah, and she decided when she was 8 she was going to be a missionary. Because someone came to her church in Fairfax and she was a missionary. And I think maybe that was the most exotic thing my mother could think of.
Wow.
Yeah,
And followed through with it.
she did. And she wasn't going to wait for my dad. He was kind of lollygagging. And wasn't getting serious. And he was serious after the war. And so that's when they
married?
That's when they married. And then they, yeah.
Did she talk him into being a missionary?
I don't know. She said, the story she told me was that she said, Lloyd, you can't go for me.
Wow.
And I think after the war he had flown tours or whenever you flew over Germany, I think he was ready to do something constructive.
Sure. I know.
Yeah.
Well, how about questions, folks?
Maybe something you'll say will maybe.
Yeah, trigger. Oh, I want to say one thing. The twins. Do you know that I'm a twin?
No.
I'm a twin. I'm a fraternal twin. They're twins in Grenoble.
And I had no idea there were going to be twins.
You didn't? That
No.
surprised you?
That surprised me.
I love that.
Yeah. No, I did not know.
Was there a reason they were twins? I mean, does it?
Yes.
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 Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the heart of the matter.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
But there's a line in there about that they were apart, they were not whole, but when you put them together, they're whole. Because that's what I think about my twin sister. I think, she's over here and I'm over here, but together we'd be a hell of a person, just let me tell you. And so, yeah, she has twins.
This is an idea that Yoruba people have, that twins share a soul.
Mhm.
And so that's hugely consequential for them.
Totally.
And it's hugely consequential for this novel.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Beautifully handled.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anybody got questions? We answered all your questions.
You gotta read the book to know what to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really
When did
well
you start
done.
writing? Did you always write, or when were you?
Yeah, well, when I was in the 5th grade in Easley, South Carolina, that was the only year I lived in South Carolina. Even though my parents were from here, we would go to different states on furlough. I don't know what they were thinking, but anyway. I wrote some short stories because I had been doing homeschooling, and in Nigeria I would finish school at like 11 a.m. because all I had to do was do my lessons, and then I could go play. So I would finish my work, and my teacher would just say, "Well, write a story or do something. Go decorate the bulletin boards." So I had several stories, and one was Homesick.
Mm.
And that was the title. I still have the notebook with these stories. And one was
Wow.
Pony Express Rider. I was trying to become an American by trying to become the Pony Express Rider. I was trying to put myself into American roles, but I didn't I didn't realize there was a gender problem. That probably I wouldn't have been a Pony Express Rider.
Probably not.
But
That's
I
interesting.
didn't realize that was a problem yet. And yeah, so I wrote poems and these stories, and it's interesting to me that that's the only time that I wrote as a girl, was in the 5th grade when I wrote these stories. And then I didn't write again until my college years, and I was an art major, and I was just driving my car around and going out in the countryside and painting. I always wanted to be outside. And so I got one of those blank notebooks they were like a new thing when I was in college, blank notebooks. And I started writing poetry so bad, very bad poetry. And then when I realized I wasn't going to be able to sell paintings for a living and decided I was going to go to graduate school, I thought, well, I'll just go be a poet. As if I thought I'd make a living that way.
I'll just be a poet.
No. So I went to see Sheena Naslund, and I took her a few poems, and she found like maybe 4 words in a row that were good. And she encouraged me. And then
4 words.
I studied poetry with her, and then this, I know this is just, you're going to say that's fiction, that can't be true. I fell in love with Henry James.
Wow.
I know.
Whoa.
I think I fell in love with myself because I could read Henry James.
Whoa.
I had never thought I was smart enough to do something like that. But when you read a Henry James novel and get through the Golden Bowl, well, first of all, your mind is blown. And not on drugs, it's just blown. And then you never forget those characters. And so then I went and did a PhD.
At Emory.
At Emory. And then I became a professor. And then I spent, in my early 40s, I had 2 books. I was just telling Bren this story. I had my 2 scholarly books. And NC State, of all places, decided that novel writing would henceforth be scholarship.
Wow.
Can you believe it?
NC State, too.
NC State. And I was like, this is,
All right.
the divine will. And so I did the memoir, and then I
Started fiction.
and that could count as my scholarship going forward. So,
Wow.
yeah, for the past
And that's
25
unusual in
years.
academia, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Man alive.
Really. Yeah. And we have a really good MFA program at NC State, which.
Who's over that now?
Well, who's teaching there? Bill Boggs, Jill McCorkle was there.
Jill
Originally
McCorkle.
was there
Right.
originally.
Right. Jill?
Let's see, who else? The poets, we lost Eduardo Corral. He's a Mexican-American poet, but he went to Washington University. Let's see, who else is there right now? I've been on leave all year, so I'm not remembering, because we hired 2 poets last year. Yeah.
And so, Elaine was telling me when we were driving over that, she took a year off to do
I
this
took
book.
a year,
Isn't
I'm
that
in phased
beautiful?
retirement, and so I could take off the fall, the spring of 25 and the fall of 25, just in the care and tending of this novel, just getting it out. And I'll teach in the spring, and then I may not. I'm kind of getting used to not working.
I bet. You've gotten a taste of this, right?
Yeah.
As though writing's not working.
I'm working at noveling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
not
teach?
grading papers.
What do you teach?
I'm sorry?
What do you teach?
I was hired to teach, I think this might be the story I was gonna tell. I was hired to teach American Lit. And I don't know if this is what I was gonna tell or not, but it's a good story. When I got to the US, I was so depressed and so lost. And I was a good Baptist girl, and so I stuck to it. Got through high school, did everything, including graduating as the best, the best student citizen.
Oh,
in this
wow.
Philadelphia, Arkansas high school that I found myself in, though I'd never been to that state. And when I got to college, though, I couldn't. I just could not anymore. And so I fell apart, and I just.
You couldn't be a good Baptist.
I couldn't, no. And what that means is, I wish it had been a more exciting story, but it was not an exciting story.
Make up now.
Yeah, I'm trying to help you here.
I just became really depressed, and I dropped out of school.
Oh, no.
And then my mother encouraged me to be an art major, which was the most brilliant thing she ever did. And then I decided to be an English minor, and I started reading American literature. And when I started reading American literature, I went, oh, everyone's lost.
Oh,
Everyone's depressed. I was reading 20th century,
Yeah.
post-World War II, and I thought, this won't be all bad, because actually, I can find some friends here. You know,
Yes.
we're all alike in this way. And I think this connected to what I was trying to say about the
Okay.
humanity, right? I found I couldn't quite get through things like driving around on Friday night to look for boys. I didn't understand that. Or being a cheerleader, or making those floats.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get.
Couldn't get that.
That high school culture. I'd heard the Beatles, I knew the Beatles, but I couldn't get into, they were in Nigeria, but I couldn't, all this other stuff, I couldn't really get into. But I started reading American literature, and I thought, beneath the surface, we're all struggling, and we're all lost. And if I can just read literature for the rest of my life, and get people to talk about it with me in a classroom, then, that's when
You were good to go.
And get paid for it,
Oh, gosh,
which I was not gonna get for my poems or my paintings.
I thought, I was surprised you said American lit, because when you're talking about the poetry, you read that darkness thing that sounded so much like Joseph Conrad.
Oh,
You know, you're right.
And
You're right.
That beautiful line, I used to know it by heart, that ends, Lord Jim.
Mhm.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Walking out of Jonathan.
Well, that's a John Worley question. That's his favorite.
It's
Yeah,
not
it's
a
been a while
favorite,
for me.
But
Yeah.
it's so beautifully walking out of came out of the jungle, and he came out of the light to the darkness of the heart of darkness.
Heart of
Yeah.
darkness.
Heart of darkness.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think it goes in from what was going on in darkness. Yes.
Anybody else have question, comment, sing a song? Anybody want to paint something? Anybody want to say anything
How
else?
about signing some books?
How about signing some books?
thank you.
Elaine, thank you so much.